Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I'm of course Jimmy, and we're proudly sponsored by Action Coach Sheffield and also V&B Auto Centre, so thank you to them for their continued support of the channel. We're also sponsored, with this being low warm-up because we're still in France. We're also sponsored by Triple Point Brewery, who sponsor us for our pre-match videos, so thank you to them as well. I'm recording this just after, the morning after, I filmed the debrief after the Norwich game, and there's two reasons for that. One is we want to move on quickly because a lot of people are disappointed with the point at Norwich, and I understand sometimes it's linked to performance as well, and we're not quite there yet, but I maintain that this is a relatively new team, a very new team, and we will get there. The players that we've got and that we're trying to gel together are really strong for this level, so I have every confidence that we'll come good, and I have every confidence that Chris Wilder's the man to get the best out of the team. The other reason is because it took all night for a 12-minute video to upload, so I'm going to get this done and I'm going to set it up off uploading. I think if I were to stay in France much longer, I'd be doing my end of season preview next week, so that's where we're at, and hopefully when I'm back we'll be getting some improved internet speeds at Ramble HQ, and all of this will be behind us. So how are we feeling about the result yesterday, or the Norwich result? Have we accepted that a point's good, or do we just bank it and move on? I think the fact that we've got 3 points on the board after 3 games isn't great, but again, we're -2. We've had 2 away games. There's all these sort of factors that you can either argue for or against. I'm okay with where we are at the moment, and I hope you guys are too. And if you're not, get your comments in and let me know what's concerning you. Do we need to change up the formation? Do we need new bodies? Do we need more depth? We could do, and I think there will be more additions to come, but again, I can't confirm or deny that because I don't know. I've seen the links to Tom Cannon, who I think is a great striker. I've seen the fact that Anel's heavily linked away, which I agree. That was another thing I wanted to point out. It's only been up a short while, but I've already seen some people pushing back on Anel being ill, and if that is the case, I've seen that when I filmed the debrief, I hadn't seen Wilder's post-match, and if Wilder says he was ill, I take that. I'm not going to argue with Chris Wilder. I think he's a very intelligent operator, and I'd probably expect him to say that. And I'd also argue that both things can be true. It can be the fact that he's been ill, and also has had his head turned as well. So I'll just leave that point out there for a little while. So we're moving on. We're in the cup at Barnsley. I know a lot of people don't necessarily value this cup competition, but we certainly used the first round against Wrexham to blood some of our squad players and get them to gel together quickly. What's your approach to this one? Do you do the same again? I've gone slightly different this time, so I'm going to ask you, what's your team? Right, bear with me because this might cause a little bit of controversy in my team here, but this is my team. So, like I say, bear with me. You can see it on screen now, but for those of you that can't, for whatever reason, I've gone with Luke Faxon in goal. We've got 4 keepers on the books, and I think if Gerbic and Davis are both staying, then we need to get Luke Faxon a good loan deal. I'd like to get Gerbic out if we can, and I still think Faxon could do a decent loan, but when you've got 3 keepers on the books, it's not as easy to let one out. There's a player in there, and we want him to be the one to push Michael Cooper long term, so I think we give him the gloves for this game and see how he gets on. He's not really let us down yet, but he's not been tested at first team level. So let's get Luke Faxon a bit of a run out and see how he does. I've gone for Sai Sachdev at right back. He came on against Norwich, and it's instead of Sariki, obviously, because Gilchrist played a lot of minutes. Ideally, if I felt like he was fully match fit and able to go, I might risk Alfie Gilchrist in this game just to get him more used to the way that we're playing. But Sai Sachdev, I think, deserves an opportunity to see what he can do as well. When Sariki's up and running, it's likely that Sai's dropping down to third choice. So this is an opportunity for him to take the shirt and run with it and make an impression, much like Sariki did against Wrexham and the games in pre-season that he did as well. Harry Souttar stays in. He's an absolute leader in there for me along the back line, an organiser. We've talked about this loads, to be fair, and ultimately it's because there aren't many other options. You could go for young Dovie Sosnaukas, and I wouldn't be against that either. I think it'd be a good run out for him. Next to Harry, I've gone for Reece Norrington-Davies, and this is just to try him out at centre half in a 4. I'm not convinced it'll work, if I'm honest, but I think we have to look at other uses for Reece if we're going to go with Harrison Burrows and the man next to him, Sam McCallum. We don't want Reece to get lost in the shuffle. I think Reece is probably still our best left back, but Harrison Burrows is going to get the longer term sort of opportunities, I think, in terms of we've spent a lot of money on him. We're certainly not going to give up on him, nor should we, early doors. But where is Reece going to contribute to this team this season rather than just being a bench warmer? I think if he can prove himself at left centre half, then he's got a chance of nailing down a first team spot for me. Next to him is Sam McCallum, who we know is just about ready to come back into the team. I hope he's fit enough to play because he's looked bright in pre-season. He was unfortunate to pick up a knock. As I say, Harrison Burrows is our starting left back. Not really set the world alight, hasn't Harrison Burrows? So this is a case for McCallum to put forward to say, look, I want to be the Andre Brooks in this situation and keep out the new star signing, and I want to keep the shirt. So I think it's positive. I think it's good to have strong competition there. And as we move forward now, I sort of shift my focus a little bit from pushing the first team and getting some new blood in. And other than Siddy Peck, who you see in the middle here, who I think has more than earned a start in this game and will start this game undoubtedly, I've gone for a little bit of a different approach in midfield. So I've obviously gone for Peck. I've also gone for Arblaster and Hamer in there as well. And Raksaki starts as we've been talking about, but I've tweaked it a little bit. I've sort of had a bit of a think. These cup games can be used to experiment. And in that regard, it doesn't always have to be new players. It could be existing players in new positions. So what about trying Gus Hamer in the 10, where I think he's most effective, and Raksaki off the left? If we're convinced that Andre Brooks is doing a sterling job on the right, why are we itching for Raksaki to overtake him? Why don't we give Raksaki, it was up right winger I understand, but left footed, on the left, so Raksaki could go down the left, maybe goes around the outside of the fullback rather than inside, maybe crosses the ball for a big number 9. Who'd have thought it? A bit old school, go to the byline, get a cross in, Kiefer Moore, bang. That might be a solution long term for our first team, having a legit winger on either side. Could work, and why not use these sort of games to experiment? I think Arblaster, seeing how he plays alongside Siddy Peck, feeding Gus Hamer. I've also gone for Ryan Brewster on the right hand side and Tyrese Campbell up front. Now you could switch these players if you wanted. You could have Raksaki on the right, Campbell on the left, Brewster up front. There's all sorts of different combinations you could look at. You could drop Brewster into the 10 to see how he does later in the game, how he's going to link up potentially with Kiefer Moore. You could play 2 up top with Ryan Brewster and Tyrese Campbell. So loads of options there. That's my team. I hope I've explained to you reasonably why I've set up as I have. I think it's a decent chance to give existing players an opportunity to impress in different ways. I want to see how Arblaster links up with Peck, because I think that could be a duo of the future, even though obviously Vinny's established himself in the first team. I also want to see how Gus Hamer does in the 10, which I think will be really exciting. And I think we'll beat Barnsley. I think we'll go and we'll turn them over, and I think we'll be into the next round of the Cup, and it'll give us more opportunity to continue to build. And if we don't get through the Cup, are we really that upset? I mean, you don't want to halt any momentum, but we're undefeated so far. If we'd have said to you at the start of the season, and shout out to Jordan who said this in our chat, if you'd have said at the start of the season we'd be 4 games in and unbeaten with a brand new team, you'd have snapped their hand off, wouldn't you? So let me know what you think. I'm going to leave it there because otherwise it'll take forever and a day to upload this video, which is ridiculous because it's only short. But for now, come on you red and white wizards. Up, Ramble!